So I just want to officially begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land, skies and waters where we are streaming from today, the Yorta Yorta people of the Yorta Yorta Nation. I pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging, and I'd also like to acknowledge any other First Nations people who might be watching today, and also acknowledge any traditional owners of the lands from where you might be watching from, which might be different from the Yorta Yorta Nation here. I also acknowledge that sovereignty of this land has never been ceded. So welcome everyone to the online opening of Art, COVID and Our Story Now. It's been a really fun show to put together, and I want to congratulate all of the artists who have taken part. And I am going to welcome our curator, Liz Arcus, now. I've just unmuted you, Liz, so you should be able to have a bit of a chat if you want to. Say hi. So I just wanted to tell everyone a little bit about Liz and her background. So Liz is a photographer based in Shepparton. She has over 30 years of professional experience as a photographer. So I and all of the photographers got to hear about some really great other projects that Liz has worked on in the past. She's done many of them and she's worked with lots of different people, and it really shows in the way that Liz really welcomed the photographers in Nathalia into her world and her life, and for the short time that we actually got to spend together face to face. Liz has this beautiful, gentle way of working with people, and she made all of those photographers feel really comfortable, but also really empowered to take really great photos. And I want to thank you, Liz, for working with us. It's been really fabulous so far, and I'm really looking forward to hearing what your thoughts are on the process and the show. I will go for a little walk out the front of the gallery. And Liz, do you want to have a little bit of a chat about the work as I do that?
Thank you, Kristen, for taking us for a walk. We're about to go to the front window of the exhibition, which is where we have to run due to the restrictions, as I'm sure you all realise.
And it is dark.
Oh, nice. Okay. And Kristen, can you tell me how many images we have there?
So there's 50 images all up in the show. I'm walking backwards down the street at the moment. I can hear people coming up behind me. So I just thought it'd be interesting to see. They kind of look cool, even though you can't see the images.
Maybe, and I will have a chat to everyone in a few seconds. Maybe if it works for you, maybe feel free to play the slideshow while I talk.
Yeah, I'll do that.
But yeah, Nathalia is how many kilometres from Shepparton?
I think we're about 40-ish, maybe a little bit more.
And what would the population roughly be of Nathalia?
1,900 people in Nathalia.
So that's where Kristen is right now. It's at the gallery, the Grain Store, a small regional town, and it's been wonderful to work with you on this project. And I know there's like 21 photographers of the Nathalia district, including the U3A photography group, which I got to meet with. But you've just seen some of the portraits, the photos, the portraits. We've seen portraits of uncertainty to flyovers, to new hobbies, to changes in schools, to the fun of, I'm not sure if you've seen the image yet, but, you know, a self-portrait ukulele playing on an exercise machine wearing a funny hat. So there's such a diverse range of photos in this exhibition. And as I said, I got to meet with quite a few of the photographers in between lockdowns, early one Saturday morning, around a month ago, I think it was. And we took a forest walk, and it was a foggy morning. And then we had a chance to meet and get to know each other more. And then I think it was the very next day, we were advised about lockdown coming. So we weren't able to meet again in person. So a lot of this exhibition was, well, all of the rest of the exhibition was, all the work was organised from afar. And I thank Kristen and Ruby for their help with that too. But we were hoping to meet up and look at photos that then the community went out and about and photographed to document what this strange, unique time of COVID. But we were able to meet on Zoom and via email and phone conversations. The images that you've seen and we'll see again were selected for this exhibition. But I know, talking with some of the photographers, they would have loved to have met in person for us to go through the images, but that didn't happen. And I think that then forced everyone to have to do more of their own thing. And one of the photographers was telling me last night that that was a good thing for her, that sometimes when we look at other people's work, it can disenable us, it can hold us back, but to actually just go out there and do their own work, select their own images without seeing what everybody else was doing was how it unfolded. And for some, that was a really positive thing. But if you were going to take a photograph, you personally were going to take a photograph to represent this time, this time of COVID, what would you photograph? Would it be like the photos you're seeing here? Or would it be something completely different? But whatever it would be your story. And what would move you in your heart, what would be important for you to record of this time. And that might be something that even if you aren't part of this exhibition, you might want to go out and take a photo or some photos, because this is a very unique time. And as you can see, there's some humour, but there's also some quite serious photos too. And I think there's such a diverse range in here, which is amazing that the whole community could have this opportunity to be part of. For some, it was their very first exhibition. And I commend those people on being very brave to enter, to put their photos on display for the very first time. Some were into other art forms, but photography was something that they explored for the first time and entered an exhibition. I think that's amazing. But yeah, what would that photo be for you if you're going to photograph? What would you think about before you went and took the photos? Or would you just walk out there and see what would find, what opened up in front of your eyes? We see different things, but all of it is our own story. For me, sometimes when I photograph, it can actually help me make more sense of a period of time or a situation. When I stop and I take an image and I look at it more closely, it can help me process that time. I'm not sure if that was the case for these photographers, but for some people it is. For some people, we need to take a photo or we need to step more closely to understand something more. We can see the elbow bumps there, something we've all come to know, which for me is really strange, being a hugger. But yeah, I think sometimes we can take a look, we can take a photo, or we can look at other photos. Sometimes we can't look at things. And for others, we need others to shine a light on it, and we can look through other people's eyes. But I thank everyone for participating in this group community exhibition, and for all of you for taking time to have a look. As I said, for some, it was their very first exhibition. And that's like a really interesting photo that's on there right now. And that's layers that the photographer explored. And I know in her other artwork, she works with quilting and bringing different layers and textures together. And it was really interesting to see that come out in her photography as well. But I think that I hope you all have a chance to have a look here tonight or online, and perhaps be inspired to go and take your own photos or to create some artwork to document this time, because it is a unique time. It is a challenging time, and it's a time that none of us are going to forget. But these gentlemen were working in a church. They were building a church that they've been wanting to do for 30 years, I believe. And there was a professional carpenter, professional builder, but he also got to teach these other men that are helping him new skills. And it was something that was able to help them through, and something that's working on slowly. But, you know, when are they going to be able to meet in the church? There's lots of uncertainty for everyone. But yeah, I think that's wonderful that so many different things have been photographed during this time. But all of these photos make up a very important collection and preserved forever. So I commend everyone and thank you everyone for being part of this exhibition. And I look forward to any questions you might have a little bit later. And Kristen, thank you for all your help, because I know being afar and different restrictions, we haven't been able to get together and work on this as much as perhaps we'd like. So thank you.
And that was really wonderful to hear your thoughts on there. I didn't mention before that Ruby is here too. Hi, Ruby. Thank you for joining us too. Ruby is monitoring any questions that come up in the chat, or there is a Q&A function in our Zoom webinar. So if you want to ask any questions, send them through there. There's one more element to the show that we haven't actually had on show yet. So this is premiere of this, which is the digital element to it. And I will now share that with you. So we asked the photographers to provide 3 photographs for printing, which are the 50 that make up the show in the window. And some of the photographers wanted to explore a bit further, and some just had a few other shots that were important. So that's what these ones are. I also want to mention that as part of what we had originally planned for this show was a historical look at how the Grain Store has responded in exhibition form to other crises in the past that have affected Nathalia. So floods, fire and drought being the 3 main ones that we've experienced here. We will also be sharing in our window space some photographs on the digital display from that original planned exhibition. And I want to also mention that we are going to revisit this exhibition next year. So the great thing about doing this in the window this year is we've got this really tightly curated show that's sort of all set and ready to go. And then by, I think it'll be in May next year, we'll have these photographs to draw on as part of what we do then. So that at that time we'll be revisiting this and our next planned show, which is something which should have been grandly celebrated this year, is that the Grain Store is turning 10 years old. So our last show for the year, which will happen after this one finishes, is our 10th anniversary show. Not sure whether that will be inside the gallery or in the window. I'm hoping inside the gallery. I think it will be, fingers crossed. So we'll be revisiting both of these shows at that time as part of a bigger show that will encompass the whole 3 spaces in the gallery. There was one other element to the show that I tried to think of ways I could make it work as part of a window show, but I don't think we can make it work with a COVID-safe window show, which is a local bush poet from Nathalia, or from Yilma, I should say, Tammy Muir, has done a few poems now about the situation we're all in, and has been sharing those on his social media. So we will have a direct link to that on our website. So that will be the only way you'll be able to view that as part of the show. But he has been sharing it on his socials anyway, so you can check it out there. We've got a bit of time for Q&A if anyone wants to ask any questions. Otherwise, it might just be Liz and I asking questions of each other.